Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, the world is waiting for the sunrise. Dear one, the world is waiting for the sunrise. Every rose is covered with dew. And while the world is waiting for the sun rising, my heart is calling you. La, 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 la. Hello and welcome to this video. Very good click, congratulations, for one song in two styles. And this song is very special and a little bit forgotten now, but it was a huge hit in 1951 when Mary Ford and husband Les Paul were singing it and playing it together. But it was written in 1919, this song called The World is Waiting for the Sunrise. So, happy 100 years song. Wow! It was written by this guy. Hi there. And it was recorded by various artists throughout the 20s and 30s and then played by a lot of banjo players until the big version by Mr. Paul and Madame Ford, who were American. I don't know why I said that with a French accent. So why is it interesting to have a look at this song in two different styles? The style that it was written in and the style of its most popular version quite a few decades later. Well, from a historical point of view, it's very interesting because the two different versions, one recorded in 22 and the one in 51, they really illustrate the evolution of recorded music and what it does to what people are actually playing. And the other part of this, of course, is your creativity. Understanding what can happen to one song and the process that goes into it can also give you ideas when you want to do your own version of a song, maybe old, 100 years less or more, or very recent, 100 minutes. Just before we get started, I must extend a huge thank you to the patrons of these lessons and videos who are making this possible. This wouldn't be here without them, so you can thank them too if you're enjoying this. Thank you so much. And if you want to become a patron also, that's super easy to do. You just need to hop onto patreon.com/ukulele road trips, and then you also get all the song sheets and all the tabs for all the lessons, lots of all. But you do get it all. So let's start with the 1919 version, which was actually written for piano and voice, and it sounds like this. Okay, we're going to start the song on a G7 augmented fifth, or G7 plus, as I like to write it. It's easier like that. The way to play this G7 plus is to have open third, first, second. So it's like a G7 really, but on the second string, the C string, the second fret goes up to a third fret. And then we're going to sing this note, the third fret. The dear, dear one, dear, dear one, the world is waiting for the... And then an E7, 1, 2, 0, 2. Sunrise, F, every C. Rose is D7, covered with G7. Dew is not covered with D7, it's covered with morning droplets that are beautiful in early hours. Now, to strum this, we are going to use this pattern. Down, down, up, down, 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 up, down, down. Because in the original version it's very much under the piano, anyway. So, 1, 2, 3. Dear one, the world down, up, down, is way up, up, down. The sun down, up, down, and every rose down, up, down, is covered with dew. And we're continuing, augmented, the thrush on high, his sleepy mate is calling. Calling you, or it is calling you. What's quite important to do is to have this G7 augmented to C. You see, and it comes up. Even when the melody changes, sometimes you still have this coming up. What is happening is one beat, just before the main beat, body, 2, 3, body, 2, 3. So the G7 plus, if you want, if you're counting in 4 beats, would be on a 4, and then the C on a 1. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. And then each chord gets a whole strumming pattern, which is 4 beats. And let's have a look at the 2 last sentences of this, and it's the same thing again. 1, 2, 3. Dear one, the world is waiting for the sunrise, and my heart is calling you, is calling you. Feel free to sing it very much in the 1919 style, which means it's a whole, you have no microphone, you're just singing loud with an orchestra, and you're just going, dear one, sunrise. We know, we hear, we know. Something a little bit cool, and I give this as a little bonus, that you can do here is and to do this, you play the G7 augmented, then play a C, and then strum your index all across, and then thumb, index, thumb. So and it's basically on the open strings that this happens, namely up here and down here. And feel free to strum more than one string. It's to give this harp feel. On the piano they play arpeggios, so boom, broom, broom, and this sort of joins in with the feel of the song. Dear one, the world is waiting for us. So, and just slowly it's like this, so you know. G7 augmented C, G7 augmented C. In the next style, we're going to have a look at just this part, but actually, there's a whole first part that disappeared from history and from the history books, but not quite from the internet, luckily. And it's this first introduction to the main theme, so it's even slower, if that's possible, and in a minor key. And then the major key is dear one. It's quite nice to have that first part because then it sort of opens it up. It's still dark and a couple of bats are going home and then the birds are starting to awake and then the light is the main part. Nighttime sounds like this. I'll play it once through but I won't go into too much detail. It starts on this open string here, number 4, A string. Down in the lazy... It starts on string number 4, the A string, down, and the strumming is rather free. There's no tempo or set strumming, it's just if the chords change, strum them and take your time singing, really. Not too much though, because you don't want to be over the top on this one. Down in, although they probably were at the time. Okay, now. Down in the lazy west rides the moon, warm as the night in June. Stars shimmering soft in a bed of blue, while I am calling and calling you. Sweetly you are dreaming. A bit of a strum here. Ming as the dawn comes slowly streaming. Waken love in your back. Greet at rising hour. And then what happens here is, dear one, the world is waiting for the sun. It's got a nice harmony to it, so it's worth checking out, but it's not the most important thing here. The most important thing being the main bit that we just had a look at, and this now, the 1951 style, which is my favorite. Actually, it would be quite nice to have the first part of the 1919 style, and then the main bit of the 1951 style. Then you have even more of a sunrise. It's like poof, sunrise in multicolor color. In the 1951 version, Mary Ford, who's a wonderful guitarist but here a singer, does lots and lots of voices on the multi-track, which was a brand new invention of her husband at the time. And so it doesn't matter which version you sing or how high you sing, just follow your feeling really, because it's hard to tell on the recording what is the main melody, because it's all just sort of one big harmony of repeated Marys, a bunch of Marys. Anyway, for this version we're going to strum it like this. Tap, 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 tap. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4. So down, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. But with very small movements and very tight, like a train. A bit. So slowly and fast. And we're going to have a new chord here, which is the E flat diminished, which is 2, 3, 2, 3. Dear one, the world is waiting for the sunrise. Every rose is covered with dew, and while the world is waiting for the sunrise, my heart is calling you. It's thrush on high, his sleepy mate is calling us. My heart is calling you. Dear one, the world is waiting for the sunrise. Every little rosebud is covered with dew, and my heart is calling for you. The thrush on high, his sleepy mate is calling out. My heart is calling you. And then at the end C6, which is everything open, most easiest, fantasticest, simplest chord. So as you can hear, instead of having there's only one chord per bunch of 4 beats. 1, 2, 3, 4. Except when at the end of those little bits there's a F minor G7, then it's 2 beats each. Is calling you. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. And the skip is always happening. Ta, 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 ta. So it's 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And you can vary it sometimes if you're quite at ease with this kind of fast strumming. You can do some cool stuff. What I do is I keep my thumb and these three fingers very close to the bridge, so it doesn't ring too much like this, because then it's just loud, too loud. But by keeping things here, like a train, then you muffle everything, but still get the rhythmical attack, the, you know what I mean, like it is hitting the strings with it, it's kind of, you know. Dear one, the world is waiting for the sun. I play my D7 like this, 2-0-2-0, because I can't be bothered to do a barred chord, because it's hurting here at the moment, so, but it sounds the same. So if you get the E diminished sorted and you got a nice FM and G7 at the end to go back to the C, then you're all sorted here with the strumming pattern. What's quite nice to do is there's a little change that's in the third verse sort of thing, if you want, and it's when this is happening. Every little rosebud is covered with dew, and my heart is... And here it's an FM7, an F minor 7. And calling for you, the thrush on high. It's a little quirk and a little twist, but it's so nice to hear. So please do it. And the way to play this is FM7 is 1-3-1-3. And you are singing this note on calling for you, because it's... the heart is calling very high. Calling, and it's on this note. first fret of the last string. Calling, and the 4 is on first fret of the first string. Calling for you. It's so nice because these notes are not in the scale of C, and we are playing in C, and it's just something else all of a sudden. Woo, 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 woo. I'll do that slowly. Every little rosebud is covered with dew, and my heart is calling for you, the thrush on high. Now this version may just sound like a song to you, but actually the version by Mary Ford and Les Paul, which they also did to they had a show on American TV also with ads for some sort of mouthwash all the time, Listerine. But anyway, this version, it completely revolutionized music because of the way that it was recorded. Les Paul was also an inventor as well as a guitarist. Actually, he invented the guitar that now has his name, the Les Paul. And he was also inventing all sorts of devices to play around with music, like reverb or delays, so he could play with himself with the guitar. And in his home studio, he was also creating a device to have multi-track recording, meaning that you can have lots of voices at the same time. So there's lots of guitars, lots of voices, and the difference between the old version, the old music, and the music in 1951 with Les Paul is that you don't need to have all the musicians at once, playing all their parts at once, and then sing the song. You can be in your living room, have a mic there, and just record yourself, and then record a guitar on top of that. So they completely changed the music that we are now used to hearing, which is multi-tracked studio recordings. But there's another thing, and that's the most important difference between these two versions, is that it also changed the way that people sang. In 1919 or 1922, we have a recording from then. He's singing like this, because he's singing to a whole hall, right? His whole life, he's a singer, whoever sang it at the time. And if he goes in to record it, he's still going to sing in the same way. He's not going to change his craft. But with Mary Paul, she sings with the microphone right here, and then they understand that we don't need to go all out and sing. We can just sing with the microphone right next to the mouth. And all of a sudden, we've got a voice that is singing to us that feels so close and that feels so familiar, like a mother would sing to her child in the cradle. Waiting for the sunrise. And that opens a brand new dimension. So the difference between these two versions is not only one of musical style, it's also one that completely revolutionized the music that we still listen to today. Not only in its recording techniques and multi-track layering and studio know-how, but also in just the way that we're now used to hearing people sing. That's why a lot of young people, or not young people, may be very surprised when they hear opera singers now, because we're just not used to hearing people that have trained their voice to fill a whole hall, because, microphones. So of course Mary Ford wasn't the first woman to sing with the microphones close to her and in a soft way, but they did push that to a brand new level with layering so many voices, but with a very familiar feeling to it, because they were doing this at home. I think that helped. Thanks a lot for watching. Remember to subscribe and see you soon for more. Bye. Dear one, the one, everything for the sun.